Hi folks, this is James Lucas with Svix. Today I wanted to show how you can integrate Svix's APM capabilities into your own monitoring tools to give you better visibility into how your events are being processed within our infrastructure and to be able to monitor, how Svix is interacting with your customers' webhook endpoints. So at Svix, for APM, we use and love OpenTelemetry. We use it heavily internally for application and infrastructure monitoring. And at some point, we thought, why not make the data available to our customers? So you can effectively monitor Svix as an extension of your own infrastructure. So if you're an enterprise customer, it's easy to do. All you need to do is configure your environments with an OpenTelemetry endpoint. So on my screen, I've got the Svix dashboard open with a test environment that I've pre-configured with a few different applications. Each of these applications is also configured with a few different endpoints, some of which will succeed and some of which will fail, just to give you an idea of what it looks like, uh, when Svix retries messages and how the data looks as a result of that. Okay, so if I go to the settings page in here, and if I scroll down to observability and click on enable OpenTelemetry, basically we just require a couple of bits of information here, one of which is a URL that Svix will use to send OpenTelemetry data to, and the other of which being optional headers that you can include that will, that are usually used for authentication. Okay, so I'm going to demo this using Grafana Cloud, which I've previously set up an instance of. Although this information, is generally applicable as well to tools like New Relic and CoreLogix that are capable of directly receiving OpenTelemetry tracing data. So if I go under connections in my Grafana Cloud instance and go to add new connection, and I'm going to be presented with a variety of buttons and options here, but we're looking for OpenTelemetry. So I'm going to click through here. As far as language is not really relevant for us, so I'm just going to choose other. And as far as our customers are concerned, this is a serverless infrastructure. So I'm going to click, click, click. Okay, and here I'm at the relevant part. So the first thing I need to do is generate a test token, which I will of course delete after the conclusion of this video. So I'll just create a test token here real quick. Okay, and Grafana has given me a token, and even better, they've pre-configured the information that we need to include in order to have Svix send this to us. So I'm going to copy this endpoint that they've given us. It's a URL here. I'm going to take this over to the Svix dashboard, and I'm going to punch this into the URL box here. Okay. Okay, so key bit of information to note here. You'll see in my dropdown there, it's got v1 traces appended to the end of the URL. Depending on your provider, you may very well need to add /v1/traces to whatever they give you, if it's not already there. This is an OpenTelemetry standard. When it's sending tracing data, it wants to see that in the URL. So just make sure you test with that if you're having issues with a URL that doesn't have that appended to it. Okay, so I've got that. Now the other bit of this is the authentication piece. So they've pre-populated our token that we just created into a base64 encoded header, and I believe that also has the Grafana Cloud instance ID in there. In any case, all we need to do is copy the value of that header over, punch that into the field, and that is an authorization header. Now I can hit this test configuration button here that will send a test trace. And it did not like that. Let's see what we did wrong. So let's try that one more time, make sure I didn't copy anything incorrectly. Okay, let's try this. Okay, great. So we have a successful trace that was sent, and so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, now if I go back over to my Grafana Cloud instance, first thing I'll show you here under drill down, we can go to traces. Now the data we're exporting is sent as spans and traces. Over the last few hours, I've been kind of sending test data off and on using to those applications. So we already see some data pre-populated here. Let's reduce this down a bit. Okay, and this is what I was hoping to see. So just to give you an idea, we have one service here called Svix test trace. Not surprisingly, that is the trace that I sent when I clicked that test configuration button. So, but let's go and see if we can find, okay, now the Svix service has started getting data flowing in after we enabled that. So let me go to traces here, and we can start to see, here we go. We can start to see all the traces that have started flowing in since we enabled that setting in the Svix dashboard. So I'm just going to click on one of these real quick to show you the kind of information you can see here. Okay, so we send over for each message that we send to your customers, we send over two spans that are nested within each other. So there's an outer message attempt span, which pretty much captures the overall request within Svix's infrastructure for, again, for each attempt we're making to your customers' endpoints. Inside of that, there is an HTTP attempt span that captures the raw HTTP request and response that we're making and getting back from your customers' endpoints. So, just to give you a quick idea here, we send along in each span a bit of metadata, including things like app ID, endpoint ID, message ID, and the status of the message based on that attempt. So, this particular message failed, and the reason that is because I pre-configured some of the endpoints on these applications to return error codes occasionally, so you can see what a retry looks like within our tracing data. And you see that we got a 400 back from the customer endpoint, so this message will be retried a little later. Just to call out something quickly here, I added just a custom attribute to the applications that gets included when the OpenTelemetry data is sent across. So if you have any kind of additional business specific data you might like to include, you can configure those particular parameters within the application or even within each individual event that you send to Svix. And that's all documented on our website. Okay, so let me go over to dashboards, and just quickly I'll show you a dashboard that I've pre-configured here to give you kind of an idea of what you can do with this information that you receive. So over the last few hours that I've been sending data, you can see over 25,000 webhooks have been sent to the endpoints in this test environment. Certain number of successes and failures. You can see things like the histograms of the HTTP latency, the event types that are being sent. You can see here the number, which attempts number it is. So of course for failing events, we will retry those to your customers' endpoints on an interval, and you can see kind of the relative proportion of those that are retries. So a wealth of information you can kind of pull out of the information that we're sending. And I think that about covers everything. Just to note quickly that at docs.svix.com, we do have a section that talks about a lot of the things that I've discussed today, shows some additional screenshots and some additional considerations. If you have any issues configuring things, please reach out to us and we'll definitely help in any way we can. But I think you can see here that it's a pretty easy process of setting up your Svix environment to start sending data directly to your APM tools. So thanks for watching.